Good morning. This is GNN News. I'm your host, Lars Pants on Fars.
And I'm calling the Marines.
Our story this morning. Jesus Christ was crucified today, and the workers have gone on strike in reaction to the poor working conditions. Yes, you heard me right. Roman foot soldiers are going on strike until the working standards improve.
It appears that 4 foot soldiers carrying out the crucifixion of Mr. Christ have led the strike after being forced to endure several hardships while they carried out the execution.
Now, we have our fellow castmate on scene with the Roman Empire foot soldiers and Executioners Union representative as they discuss the happenings of today.
Yes, we do. Take it away, Euripides.
Thanks, Colin. It's a dreadful scene at the crucifixion site today. It's so sad to see such suffering. Not only do these soldiers protect our country, but they also have to carry these heavy crucifixion victims uphill. I am on scene with Mr. Marcus Aurelius, the union representative of the soldiers on strike. What would you say the motivation behind this strike is?
Amazing question. Well, I would have to say the strike was caused by a variety of things, many of which happened today to the lowly soldiers that happened to be crucifying Jesus today. Our men are subject to many uncomfortable things during the workday, such as the hardships that come with carrying a heavy body that is bound and nailed to a cross. Your shoulders hurt, you get splinters, you get aches and pains, while the guy on the cross just lays there and does nothing.
That sounds like an awful thing to endure. Do the workers at least get a lunch break?
Yes, of course. Gosh, we aren't cruel. Of course, where people get lunch breaks, a full day without a meal would be torture, and that is not what we do. Of course, the conditions surround the execution of the crucifixion itself, like the holes not being drilled into the wooden cross, or merely overworking the workers due to short deadlines and high demands.
Of course. Thank you for your input. Now stay tuned, because we have another interview with Mr. Christ himself about the conditions he helped create. Back to you, Lars.
Thanks, Euripides. Some very powerful and moving things about the working conditions from the union rep. You know, Colin, I can't believe that those 4 soldiers took those hardships in stride.
You know, those soldiers, were they there completely by chance? The Emperor let these complete strangers execute our empire's biggest enemy. It's true, and not only were they forced to carry the cross up a hill, but nailed to that cross was Mr. Christ himself, who was scheduled for a painful death later that day.
Very interesting, Colin. I'm surprised that the Emperor would allow these random soldiers to execute our country's most hated enemy. But the fact that Mr. Christ was involved in the creation of these terrible working conditions for these soldiers really proves that he was not as righteous as he claimed.
Exactly, Lars. Now I hear we have someone on the scene with Mr. Christ, so make sure to stay tuned because we will be right back after this.
We'll be right back with more comments about the crucifixion here on GNN.
Welcome back to the Gospel News Network. We have Euripides on scene with Mr. Christ himself at the abandoned worksite. Euripides?
Thanks, Lars. I'm here at the site of the crucifixion to hopefully get a comment from Mr. Christ himself. Sir, what do you have to say about the conditions on the worksite? You heard it here first, folks. Back to you, Lars.
That looks like all the time we have right now. Tune in at noon when we discuss, does this toga make my gluteus look Maximus? This is Lars Pants on Fars and Colin signing off.